Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Hello, my royalty, my lovelies. How are you doing? Okay, let's get something scorching, bubbling, just steaming hot. And if you like it cold, just hold the ice, hold the ice. And today's just going to be kind of a hypothesis type of episode because the more I read about narcissists and dating and politics and like brain activity and patterns, and I don't know, it's just my anthropology classes come back. And yeah, if I was taking one of the classes, or if I majored in anthropology, some of the things I would love to cover and study, because I'm reading articles now that talk about how the most attractive political party are Republicans. And in a lot of ways it makes sense when I look at their culture, when I look at their demographic. And especially with Democrats and people on the left, we're known to not fit the uniform, the cookie cutter. We're not the stereotype in like so many ways. And or like even people of color and religiously, we don't fit that white man, able body, like just conventional, traditional look or way. Because I mean, they still have issues with the afro and locks, and even a hijab and things. And so, and then also those who wear nose rings and or dye their hair in untraditional colors and stuff. So I just find it interesting the more that I read on it, but then also it makes so much sense because going through dating life, and I've told you guys how, like, especially after my breakup with Mr. No Heart, I was thinking I was doing something wrong because I kept getting conservative men. And once in a while, and I think that's one reason why at first, like when I could finally get a Democrat guy, I'm like, yes, finally, okay. And I wasn't a pick me, but I gave them a chance because I'm like, you know what? They're a Democrat. Yes. I can get to know them. I can see if we're a match or whatever. And we can see what happens. But after a while, I was just like, you know what? No, no, thank you. No, 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 no. Not even though they're Democrats, don't mean they're good. Like, no, no. They're still not as bad as Republicans, but yeah, yeah. And I mean, for me, for some of you guys, Republican might be your cup of tea. MAGA might be what you, but then, yeah, if Republican and MAGA, like, I would also kind of wonder, why are you listening to me? Yeah. I mean, you're more than welcome to, I guess if you want a different perspective, but normally MAGA Republicans don't want to hear a different perspective, or they turn around and degrade us and talk about Democrat, and that's one reason why, like, when it comes to Republican tiers, I've been debating on something lately, and I'm probably going to do it because the amount of Republican men who have told me, Democrat tears, oh, I bet you're crying because the orange man won. I bet you, oh, you're so sad. Oh, and that's the funny thing. This is on dating apps. These men say these things on a dating app, but then turn around. It's really funny how many of the Republican men try, like, on Meet Me and Scout. I have my list of standards, a couple others too, but I have my list of standards. And the Republican men, they just try to be as mean as possible, but they're not original, they're not funny, they're not creative, they're kind of dull, stupid, ignorant. And that's another funny thing, because they say like the more education you have, the more likely you're going to be a Democrat. And so and when it comes to looks versus like communication and education and things like that, I find it interesting when I compare the dates that I've been on, because there's even been some Republican men who lie and say they're Democrats, and then like during the date I'm just like, nah, something doesn't make sense. But then later I find out they're Republican. But now that I look at like it as a spectrum, I'm like, yes, now I see. Yeah, over the phone call conversation, yes, they did share and show signs. Even with their dating profile, they did share and show signs of being Republican. And like I've said so many times, different ways and just techniques that I've had to the point where I'm able to dodge, or I know who the Republican men are who are lying on their profiles, or the men who refuse to answer the political question, because they share so many, as a demographic, they share so many of the same techniques in order to try to attract women. Yeah. But I'm a sapiosexual, so yeah, Republican. Yeah, especially the more education you have, the more chance you're going to be a Democrat. Yeah. So that's another, like, a lot of Republican men say, oh, it's because you're racist. Okay, well, political stance doesn't have anything to do. It's like, okay, because remember, John James is a black man. He's a Republican. And Candace Owens, she's a black woman. She's a Republican. If you look up the 2026 African American month, like activity at the White House, you will see a room of African Americans. And they just did the Women's Month one, but I didn't look at it because I don't like I didn't even want to look at the other one, but some of the political people like went in on it, so that's why I saw some of it. And I want to know how diverse the women's event was. Was it as diverse as the farmers meeting that they had a couple months ago or a few months ago? There's sarcasm in that. There's so much sarcasm in that. But yeah, now I want to look up the percentage of how many Republican versus Democrats are sapiosexuals, because most of the sapiosexuals I know are Democrats. Yeah. And with my list of standards, none of them were physical. But when, like, okay, one hint that the guy is Republican is when he writes his list of standards, how many of them are physical, like physical standards. And the amount of men who they say that their woman cannot have gone to college. Yeah, if you've been watching my episodes and looking at the screenshots that I provide in at some episodes, yeah, there are so many of these Republican MAGA men who have said, if you went to college, do not bother talking to me. Or I want a well behaved woman. And or I just want a woman that's going to cook and clean at home and make my babies. There are men on these dating apps who say just this stuff, and they mean it. And they mean it. And like with most Republican men, almost all of their pictures are them in their body. And some are like, oh no, well I know, no, 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 there's a difference. And especially the way they show their body and how much of it, and how like their ego matches, and you can kind of see it. And and one thing that just really, I'm still wondering, why do so many conservative men keep trying to match with me on dating apps? It's like, can you at least read my profile? If you read my profile, see, I'm not interested. I don't like you. We're not compatible whatsoever. Like, no, no, thank you. No, ill, no, mm-mm. And I say ill out of all, well, for some it's disrespect, but for some out of respect, because at least I am trying to Save our time. We only have one life to live, and why would I want to waste minutes with a man that I know that we will not be compatible with? And then there are some men who say politics have nothing to do with the relationship, but then how come after this, election, divorce has skyrocketed? And I've already posted some articles and some other episodes of how so many women are divorcing their conservative husbands, their MAGA Republican husbands, and how now they see them for who they are, and how they didn't see it before. And I'm wondering, did they not see it because they were looking at the six packs, the muscles, and all of that? Were they looking at the outer appearance and not read, like, they were literally reading the book by its cover and not what was inside the book? And in some, there's very few pages because they either didn't go to school, didn't take it seriously, or because do you know how many men, like, okay, and this one's liberal or Democrat and Republican, do you know how many men have bragged to me that they have not read a book since high school? And some said middle school. Some, like, there's at least, okay, one guy, because different guys did it different ways, but one guy said he only dated the smart girls so that he would be able to get it, they would do his homework for him. Yeah, because he said that he was cute enough where they would do anything for him, including his homework, and that's how he was able to graduate high school. Mhm. Mhm. And he lied to me, and so, like, because he said he was a Democrat or whatever, and this is one reason why if you don't answer the political question, I just swipe left now. I used to be like, oh well, I'll ask him, but a lot of the guys don't answer, so that when a woman swipes and if a woman asks, you could be like, oh, then what are you? Because then he's just gonna say whatever you say. So ladies, don't answer first. And or he's going to look at your profile and see what your answer is. And so, like, immediately, like, if he just says, oh, I'm this, and then just start asking his stance on different political things. And also ask him, what do you think of, like, Barack Obama? What do you think of Biden? What do you think of Kamala Harris? And what do you think of the orange guy? What do you think of Bush? Like, start asking, like, what do you think of Clinton? And even, what do you think about Mr. and Mrs. Clinton getting questioned and everything? Like, what do you think about the Epstein? Like, ask them. Like, they hate it, especially if they're Republican and they're trying to trick you and fool you. Because, yeah, there was one guy who worked at a senior citizen home as a cook or chef or whatever, and he was trying to trick me because he was like, politics don't mean anything. Politics are dumb. But every time there was a Republican, like, topic, oh yeah, they're great. Oh, this and that, and oh, Pizzagate, and oh, the orange guy is amazing, and oh yeah, you don't understand, and oh, give me three examples. And when I did give him three examples, he would get pissed, and he was like, no, well, you're wrong. And I'm like, well, look at this article, and what about this and that, and then, oh my gosh, it's like, why do you have to be smart? And it's like, because yeah, a lot of men do not want smart women because they know they've been lazy and dumb for a majority of their life. So if they know if they do date a smart woman, she's going to keep correcting him, and she's going to know better than to date him. So they will refuse to answer questions because they want to depend on their looks to trick the woman until she feels like, she's stuck with him. Yeah, and now that I think about it, I really wonder what Mr. No Heart was, because I kind of think maybe he was a Republican trying to trick me for 7 years. I know, because of all, like, and I'm gonna take this to AI and drag it through a therapy and a psychologist and, like, all of the is and everything, because now, like, now to like taking a step back, analyzing all of the things and putting them together, it's scary. Because back then I used to be like, oh well, it's just this and that, and oh, it's like his family is this, but he says he's Democrat. And oh well, he said this, but you know, maybe he brags that he never took African American history, or he never had to, like, celebrate African American month, and maybe it's ignorance, but then he said this, but yeah, so I don't know. It's just blah 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 blah. It's a lot of stuff, and yeah, I'm probably gonna cover it all in a series of episodes because there's so many examples. But I'm wondering, because once he was divorced from his ex-wife, he was starting to lift weights so he can look better. And a lot of people say, well, a lot of people probably like, no, 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 no. With Republican people, they do it in a different fashion. And like he was doing it because he said he wanted to see if he can get more women, and just some of the things with now putting it with other things. And also when his Republican no good MAGA, and this is my opinion, of course, all in my opinion, but his no good Republican MAGA family members who would like line up and try to like just, I don't even know how to like, it was very deranged what they did, but one by one sit next to me and just be like, and with their phones, you posted this, and oh, it's like, oh, so Democrats think this, and oh, well, I think this, and I think you should think this too, and oh, look, your best friend Candace Owens, oh, she's not my friend, oh no, well, she's black, and maybe like, no, who the what? It's like, because okay, that's another thing when Republicans try to say this person's black, so you should like, who like. So if I tell you every Democrat white person and say, oh, well, they're white, you sound stupid. You sound dumb. Like, do you know how infuriating that is and everything? And sometimes when people say, oh, well, they're a person of color, so you should, well, a lot of these people of color don't like black people. They think we're dumb. They think we're stupid. Even though 92% of black women voted the right way, we kept telling you guys, we kept warning you, but you kept saying we were dumb. And you keep trying to say that you have like exhaustion from racism. Guess what? We do too, babies. We do too. And then I think 85% of black men. So, but yeah, we passed the test. We had an A minus and a B. So some of y'all, you hardly passed. Some of y'all failed. And especially some of the people of color. Yeah. And the Hispanic community, they're still bragging that they don't like us, especially down in Texas. Yeah, look that up. It's like now they're like, oh, Jasmine Crockett lost, and they're trying to say, oh, like, okay, um, do you see who she was fighting for? She was fighting for us and you. Okay, look at what the Republican Party is doing to people like you. Look what the Supreme Court said was allowed, that they can pull us over by the color of our skin. Guess what? You're not white, so you're one of them. So it's just kind of funny how dumb some of them are acting right now, because it's real like you had someone who had your back, someone who was trying to just support and have empathy, sympathy and compassion, but yet some of them follow the CK guide, so we're just, no wonder. But I don't know, it's just, I yeah. So sometimes when people say, oh, but this person's a person of color, that don't mean they don't understand. No, actually, majority of them don't understand what we go through. They don't understand our pain. They're too busy like whitewashing our history and our identity and everything, or blaming us for every single thing when they don't know what we have been through. They don't. And then when black people make a wonderful, beautiful movie like Sinners, and all of a sudden people of color like, oh, we should have been a part of this movie, why did you not include us, why'd you do this, why'd you do that, oh, why did you only show this part of the Asian community, why didn't you show this and that, and like, hold up, wait a minute, make your own. And if you don't know the history, and some of them do know the history, and that's why they're mad that they showed the truth within the movie. Fiction shows realism. It shows history. We like, even the not the maidens, what do you call it, the ones with the women with the hood and everything, like the tales, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like I can't think of the title at the moment, but that one was, none of it was fiction. The author even talks about she gathered different things from different, like, you can gather different things from different countries and stuff and combine them into a story. None of it, like, it's fiction but real at the same time. And a lot of people, especially a lot of mega Republican people, don't understand that because remember, the smarter side of the Democrats, yeah, yeah. And a lot of them who are still cheering on the orange man, especially with the war and especially with ICE and especially with just everything that's going on right now. Yeah, yeah. But then a lot of MAGA Republican able bodied men want to keep saying, what did politics have to do with the relationship or dating and everything like that? But let's look at, let's look at it. Let's observe it. But they're too busy looking at their muscles, lifting weights, trying to look, because yeah, they want to be pretty, but they don't want to use their brains. They want to be attractive, but as time goes on, as we age and things like that, I'm not saying they're not going to be, there's no chance for them to be like a zaddy or anything or whatever. And, and some of them get mad at me when I say, no, I'm not interested or I'm not attracted to you and stuff. Oh, what do you mean? Why don't you like me? Aren't I sexy? Aren't I attractive? Aren't I handsome? Oh, but yeah, it's like I need a brain. Yeah, if you only had a brain. Yeah, yeah, but no, no. And yeah, it's like a lot of them, they're baffled when a woman denies them. It's like even some of them are like attractive just visually, but after so long, that gets tired. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever. And like even with Mr. No Heart, it's like yeah, he was going to lift weights, but then he found me and then he stopped. And it's just like, huh. That was another key sign too, because I've met men who said that they will get in shape until they find her and then they won't have to anymore. But then a lot of men expect women to stay just as beautiful, to stay in shape, even after having a baby and everything. It's like the way that beauty standards are like just forced down our throats, especially by gender, is horrifying. Because I have even seen how some men, ugly men, and yeah, it's okay. Yeah, in my opinion, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But some men who just give up on their body, whatever, and and while their wife was having their kids or whatever, maybe they didn't lose all the baby weight, but they still look pretty good or whatever. But then he leaves her because he was like, you should have lost all the weight while he's looking a hot mess and or he's not taking care of himself and stuff. And it's just like, how come she has to, but you don't? But then a lot of these men, they say they can do that because they have the money, they have the job, and they told her to stay at home. So while she was at home, that's what she was supposed to be doing is making sure she stayed beautiful for her because that was her job. So, so I don't know. It's just kind of, but yeah, I'm a sapio. I am very much. I have been on dates where after just a half hour, I'm just like, okay, I need to leave. And there were even times where I'm like, you know what? I'm not even hungry. But you know what? You can stay. You can stay. I'm going to head out. What do you mean you're going to head out? What? You're going to miss out on this? And hey, I thought I was going to get some tonight. Well, you can go to the bar. You like you might, I don't know, like maybe want some of these ladies. You know what I mean? I thought I was going to get, no, no, not for me. No, no, no. Yeah, because I'm still trying to see if you have a brain, and I think it's MIA. It's not there. It's long gone. It ran away from home. Mm. But yeah, I really want to analyze the topic of beauty within the Republican Party, kind of both parties, but especially the Republican Party, because so many videos have I seen where the Republican gurus, it's like even like Jake Paul and some of like um the one who got arrested with his brother. Yeah, sorry, it's been a busy morning, like working on some of the projects, and oh my gosh, I'm so excited for the candles. But anyway, um I want to say no, anyway. Because I know, yeah, basically the brothers who, when they came back, they went to Florida, but then the Florida governor was like, "Oh heck no!" So I don't, I, I heard that they did they go to, they went back overseas, and I remember earlier this week or like late last week, like one of them posted that which country they were in, and I want to, it wasn't Iran, but it was something close to the war. I want to say. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. If you don't, yeah, I'll probably put an article about them so then you can know who I'm talking about. But yeah, I kind of want to analyze the the education and the brainwaves because even I started reading articles about brainwaves of Republican versus Democrat and the gray matter within the brain because it differs based off of your political stance and things. And I kind of even want to know the empathy. What part of the brain does empathy live in? And with empathy, is that like one reason why Republicans and Democrats vote and look at things in a different way? And also maybe even female Democrats versus female Republicans and even the MAGA as, and try to see their gray matter because a lot of men say that women are so emotional. But with those emotions, how do they differ within those political parties? And I mean, it'll also kind of be interesting with men and stuff, but so many men, they put down women for their emotions and say, oh, women will start all these wars. But look who's starting the wars. Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, those kind of things have been on my mind. It might end up turning into a novel down the road, you never know, but I'm going to be well, I this sometime this year I'm going to get back to doing Reddit and I'm going to be doing more story times and comparing my life to politics, which my life is filled with politics. And I've already told you some of the stories where I relate with the Epstein women. There's more. There's more. Yeah. Yeah. It's disgusting. Some of these men, they put us down for choosing the bear, but then when they put us in harm's way, they just basically tell us, you shouldn't have worn that. You shouldn't have looked so beautiful. You shouldn't look like, but then it's like Republican men keep telling us that we have to be beautiful and we have to look a certain way and all this other stuff. But then when we do look beautiful, but then they want to put us in harm's way, but then they still blame us. How does that make sense? They have the expectations of us to look a certain way, but then they put us in harm's way, but then they blame us. What? And I'm not saying Democrats don't do this because, oh, some Democrats don't, but we're like, from my dating experience, especially with like before, I was so strict because growing up in the Christian church, my parents said I had to marry a Christian man. He had to be like of the church and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, that's not, no, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, no. But, and I can still be, you know, Christian, spiritual, and things like that, and be with somebody who is, because, yeah, I've realized I am not a match whatsoever with majority. Like, and I said majority because there might be some Christian men, but am I finding them? No, I'm not. And am I going to wait to find? No, I'm not. Mm-mm. But maybe I should even study because even with cheating, it's like they say Democrat men cheat more, but then you find out a lot of the Republican men, especially on the dating apps, where the Republican Congress people and stuff, they cheat a lot more often. And sometimes I wonder, is it that Democrats cheat more, or do Republicans just lie about it? Because I know a lot of like Republican men who lied about it, like and or they tell me if I tell or whatever. Yeah. So sometimes I wonder how factual, because especially when it comes to their religion, they really can't let anybody know because it might get back to the church. It might get back to their pastor. And a lot of the men on dating apps who I find out that they're married, they're Republican. So, yeah, there's that too. I think they're lying. But, anyways, thank you so much for listening to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too.